All right, guys, welcome back to Wealth and Travel on a Dime. So today I want to talk to you about the numbers from our grid tied solar here on the property. Now, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. The suggestion I would make to you is if you're going to do solar, either do your own grid tied. With the products they have out today, you can buy solar generators, and they have just plug and play extra batteries you can add to them and everything. So building an off-grid system has never been easier. You also have solar pool pumps if you have a pool that uses a ton of power. They have solar powered mini splits like the ones from EG4 to where you can heat and cool your house directly from solar panels and then rely on the grid as a backup. There's so many things you can do nowadays. I'm not going to try and get into the legality of it. You need to check your own area. There's plenty of us here, though, on YouTube, plenty of creators that grid tie, but we don't sell back to the company. If I produce more than what I'm using, it just goes back and is given to my electric carrier. All right, they get it for free. If the grid goes down, my grid ties all shut off, whether the older ones I used to use or the new ones. So there is no danger to linemen or anything else. The technology has come so far today, you just have to choose how you want to do it. But with electric bills ever increasing, this is the fastest destroyer of wealth there is our utilities. And that's based sometimes on our choices, like cell phones, or it's based sometimes just on the price hikes, the inflation, the power draws, and many other factors. The reality is we've gone from about 8.5 cents here where I live all the way up to almost 12 cents a kilowatt hour now. So a massive jump. Essentially, if I was using, say 600 watts, this is not a real number, but 600 watts, say that cost me $100. 600 kilowatts cost me $100. 600 kilowatts now would cost me 120. All right. And just for scale, I have a pole that my electric sits on. They charge me $20 a month just to have that pole sit there. That's not taxes. That's not fees. That's just for the pole to sit there. So with that said, we're going to talk about what we're doing now and how we've used this for years to lower our electric bill. So in 2017, I went out and I got with a guy that bought an entire Connex of GCL 285 solar panels. He sold me 10 for $1,300. Now back in 2017, that was a heck of a price. It really was. Solar panels are much cheaper now. Check it for yourself. It doesn't take much to get into solar, guys. Now, I put up 2 panels on my front porch. It was not optimal in direction it went. And I went with the cheap, you could get them on eBay back then for like 80 or 100 bucks, 1,000-watt grid ties. Those 1,000-watt grid ties basically just plug in the wall and you hook your solar panel power into it. They do have problems with their fans fail over time because they get hot and they have these little cheap fans in there. They're like micro computer fans and they're just junk. And once those go out, the unit overheats. And then sooner or later it pops. I created a system using USB fans to keep them cool. I got years of use out of them. All my kids were still living at home. You can imagine they're playing football, showers, tons of laundry. We were hammering down. I mean, that 2-panel system really was knocking the bill down. But then I ended up getting 6 more panels put up and 3 more grid ties put in. All right. So at that point, I was saving $100 a month. $100 a month just with this cheap setup. Now those grid ties are not efficient. They're probably maybe 75% efficient. So they really were bad. But we made money. We were saving tons of money. And really we hadn't changed our habits even by then. So that $100 off a month was a big deal. You're raising kids, you're trying to pay bills. It's a big deal. And it makes payoff come faster. So with the 4 grid ties, it was less than $400. And then you had the $1,300 in panels. So basically $1,700. So from 2018, when I got the other panels hooked up, all the way till now, we've been running off that system, saving approximately 100, sometimes 75, sometimes 125. Just depends on the usage. All right, in the summers, we'd get more power in and all the boys would be home, so they'd be doing all their stuff during the day, like their showers and stuff. That way we could use it when the solar was on. Everybody kind of pitched in as a family to make it work. So that's one of the reasons why it works so well. But as the grid tie started to fail, I was actually down to one grid tie this summer. All the other ones had popped. And I was like, I got to do something. I can't be buying these cheap ones. This is not a good solution. So I went to Signature Solar and I saw that they had the Growatt line. And they were very affordable. And I went around and there wasn't a whole lot of information online about it, but there was enough to really see guys were really doing well with them. At $500, I couldn't pass it up. Now my panels, guys, when you start looking at $100 a month for all those years, my panels are paid off. My grid ties are paid off. That system paid itself off. And I even made money on the deal. But if you look at it like I just made another $500 investment, I mean, what do we got? 5 months essentially that I'm going to be saving before I'm clear. That's the rest of this year. So as the start of next year, I will be all in profit again. But in our first month, which we just completed, now the grid tie hadn't been hooked up the full month. All right, so we're coming in on the October bill, and it had only been on for 22 days. So 22 days, that system pulled in 97.5 kilowatt hours. Now, we did change some things up. We took the 2 panels off the front porch that were in the wrong direction, and I had 2 more that were still left, because remember, I bought 10, and we put them on a roof facing south. All right, and then connected this string. Now, running 2 separate strings can have good and bad effects. But the way these came out, it worked out really well. It comes on earlier and goes off later. So we're building. But the real benefit was changing that grid tie because it's so much more efficient. It uses all the power that comes in so much more efficiently, and how it changes it over because it's transformerless. Sorry. But for the October bill for 22 days, as I said, we created 97.5 kilowatt hours with our solar. It came out to $99.08, guys. Now, a lot of you be like, well, that's a pretty low electric bill. And other people say, well, that's not really a low electric bill. The month before, when we were running one grid tie, it was $145.40. So we pretty much did $50 again in only 22 days. Now, and let's be fair, 22 days, and I had it down for one day hooking the system up because I hooked it up on the 21st of September, and then I had to take it offline again to put the other 4 panels up on the other roof. So really it was 20 days. And they weren't the best weather days. I mean, we're not in summer here, guys. This is October. So I really think that when you start looking at something that's an investment, if the Tesla guy or your local solar contractor comes to your door knocking, they're going to start talking about $20, $30, $40, $50,000 to set up solar at your house. That's a lot of time for payoff. And then they'll tell you that there's all these incentives from the government and tax incentives every year. And you'll get money back from the company, and the company will let you use those credits to go against your next month and all this stuff. I have seen very few people happy with their payoff, or very few people happy unless it's a business about the tax incentives and stuff, because it just, dollars don't equal cents. All right. Your electric company's getting the best end of that deal. They're buying power off you at like 3 cents a kilowatt hour, and you're paying 12. It's not hard to figure the math out. You honestly would be better off to invest in either an off-grid system or do one of these grid-tied systems, or convert over your heating and cooling to solar. The cost is minimal. I mean, when we look at this, as of January of next year, we will basically be collecting on average $1,200 a year off that we can move somewhere else and use that money in a different way rather than handing it over to our electric company. Now, your usage may be higher. So you may be able to use every watt. If you're the kind of people that have a furnace that runs 24/7 in your house because it's always either heating or air conditioning, you're going to use a lot more power. And this is probably going to save you a lot more money. Now that the kids are all moved out, we have a lot of time where we're just giving power back to the grid. That's why it's not smart of us to build our system any bigger. Because there's already a large portion of the day where I'm just filling the grid with free power. Now, I do want to say in our personal setup, we're going to be turning our house up there into an Airbnb. So there's going to be a lot higher electric usage where it'll get utilized a little more, and it actually will profit us more than the $1,200 a year. But going forward, it makes more sense to build off-grid for us. Or, like I said, take the heating and cooling and flip that over to running off solar as much as possible. Because heating and cooling is one of the massive killers of power in your home. Now, we will be doing videos on simple ways that you guys can save money on electric in your homes in the upcoming future. So you definitely should subscribe so you see all those videos. But I wanted to bring these numbers to you because I think that a lot of people think solar is very complicated, and there never has been a time ever that solar is as easy as it is now, because most of these systems are honestly plug and play. I mean, a system like these solar generators, you can get these and get add-on batteries that you can buy as you get time. They're building batteries in these things, guys, that are going to last 30 years and get 85% after 30 years. You know? The technology is there, and the cost is just a small investment in your future. And then you have all that money to do other things with. And now the warning. And this warning, you'll find a lot of creators will tell you the same thing. The warning is solar is addictive. If you're a hobbyist or you're a creator or you're somebody who likes to tinker, solar can get addictive. And many a times my wife's had to reel me back in and go, is this really going to make us money at this point? Is adding more grid ties going to make us any money? And I have to look at it and go, no. It's not going to save us anymore because we're not using more electric. You know, so you have to look at it as what it is. If left to my own devices, I'd have 1 million solar panels all over my property and just be doing different things with it. So that is one pitfall to watch out for. You get the savings, and then you get the bug, and then you get the self-reliance. I mean, it's nice all around, but just keep it so it's practical. But with that said, if you haven't already, and I don't know why you wouldn't have by now, guys, go down, hit subscribe, hit the notifications so you see all of our upcoming videos. Make sure you drop us a like. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know. Are you guys looking at going solar? Have you already gone solar? If you've got horror stories about guys trying to come sell you solar, which I've heard 1 million of them, and I'm sure there's 1 million more out there, let me know down in the comments. And with that said, I will see you in the next one.